Coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studio here in Colombo, Sri Lanka. This is your primetime news bulletin. A very good evening. I'm Sharon Silva.
And I'm Dasni Athada. Let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
Ensure that witnesses are not influenced. Presidential Commission instructs Chairman of Sri Lankan Airlines. Supreme Court informs Attorney General to indict Ranjan Ramanayake for contempt of court. Postal workers converge on Colombo. Strike continues. 2-year prison sentence proposed for failure to submit asset declarations. Fire breaks out in an abandoned ship in Jaffna.
The Postal and Telecommunications Services Union says they will continue their trade union action as talks held to resolve the crisis were unsuccessful. The Department of Post said the strike action has cost the department a daily loss of 150 million rupees.
It has been 8 days since postal workers launched their strike action, demanding for solutions to the crisis surrounding the recruitment process. Claiming that authorities have failed to resolve the issue, postal workers began a protest march from the Central Mail Exchange this morning. Close to 2,000 postal workers from across the country took part in the march. Later, the postal workers marched up to Colombo Fort via Dr. Vijayawardena Mawatha, Gamini Roundabout and Technical Junction. The protest obstructed one lane of Orchid Mawatha and the entrance route to the Golf Face Green. Thereafter, the protesters attempted to march towards the Presidential Secretariat. A few of the protesters were called in to the Presidential Secretariat for talks.
We have been deceived yet again. It wasn't the secretary to the president who was there. It was 2 other additional secretaries. We handed over the letter and came out. We don't expect anything more than this in this system. So we will continue our strike. The government should listen to these voices and give solutions to them. If not, this recruitment process, which 26,000 postal workers have been depending on for 12 years, should be amended.
The Department of Post says all leave of Postal Department employees have been cancelled, adding that those who fail to report to work tomorrow will be considered as having vacated their posts. Postmaster General Rohana Aberatne says it is the responsibility of the officials to open the post offices, carry out duties and to provide security. The Postmaster General adds that the support of the police stations can be obtained if required and that the Inspector General of Police has been informed regarding the matter.
The Supreme Court today ordered the Attorney General to file a charge sheet on the 30th of this month against Deputy Minister Ranjan Ramanayake, who is accused on charges of contempt of court.
The Supreme Court informed the Deputy Minister to submit a draft rule to court citing why he should not be punished for contempt of court for his remarks before the media that a majority of judges and lawyers in the Sri Lankan legal system are corrupt. The Supreme Court order was issued when a complaint filed by Venerable Magal Kande Sudanta Thera and retired Army officer Sunil Pereira was considered by a bench comprising of Chief Justice Priyasad Depp and Murdu Fernando. Presenting facts to court, President's Counsel M.A. Sumandiran, representing Deputy Minister Ranjan Ramanayake, said the petitioner has not followed proper procedure. Sumandiran further pointed out that unless this legal procedure is followed, the Attorney General has no legal provision to intervene in the petition. Appearing for the Attorney General, Senior Additional Solicitor General Priyantha Navana informed court that the Attorney General has intervened in the petition based on an order issued by the Supreme Court. Navana further noted that the case was taken up today to issue a verdict on the legal measures to be taken against Ranjan Ramanayake after the justices of the Supreme Court had concluded that the Deputy Minister had in fact been in contempt of court.
I will submit my affidavit claiming that Ranjan Ramanayake has not accepted a single cent from Arjun Aloysius nor even seen him. He has however called me saying I would be given publicity. I have records from his paper. I am ready to show this affidavit at any time. I hope Gotabaya Rajapaksa takes this as a precedent and submits an affidavit himself claiming he did not use public property. Namal should submit an affidavit claiming he did not swindle money from CSN. I'm also expecting affidavits from Desi Archie, Yoshita and the 118 mentioned by Dayasiri Jayasekara. Mahinda Rajapaksa should also submit an affidavit claiming he did not accept any money from Arjun Aloysius because we know that on the night of the 8th of January he was with him. Chichi Baby got his dog from Arjun Aloysius. We know all of this and we will reveal them in the future. Namal Rajapaksa is Arjun Aloysius' best friend. Well, what I said has been proven, hasn't it? Dayasiri Jayasekara and Sujiva Senasinghe are both lawyers. So technically, 2 out of the 3 people who have accepted money are lawyers.
Deputy Minister Ranjan Ramanayaka. Isn't your party leader and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe among the lawyers you speak of? Have you forgotten that Minister Lakshman Kiriyalla is also a lawyer?
The Presidential Commission of Inquiry has instructed the chairman of Sri Lankan Airlines to ensure witnesses are not interfered with by any person or authority within the organisation as per the provisions of the Witness Protection Act. Newsfirst Zulfik Farzan, who has been following the proceedings, filed this report.
Captain Ruwan Withanage, the president of the Airline Pilots Guild of Sri Lanka, testifying before the commission today, revealed of an attempt made in 2013 to lower the cut-off mark in recruiting cadets for Sri Lankan Airlines. He said the cut-off mark, which was maintained at 70% throughout, was to be brought down to 65% in a bid to accommodate 2 cadets who did not meet the qualification. Queries made by the Airline Pilots Guild have exposed contradicting statements from 2 authorities over this attempt. The then Minister of Civil Aviation, Piyankara Jayaratne, had written a letter to the chairman of the airline noting there is a shortage of first officer pilots at Sri Lankan Airlines and the policy of the government was to recruit Sri Lankans for the program. The then Minister had requested the cut-off mark be revised, however the standards should not be compromised. Surprisingly, the chairman of the airline had responded to the Pilots Guild stating the decision to lower the cut-off mark was a request made by the management. Undoubtedly, the individuals who were to be included by revising the cut-off mark and the attempt behind this process will be further exposed in the future proceedings of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. In addition, Captain Withanage said the cause for the loss of ETOPS, or Extended Range Twin Engine Operational Performance Standards, was an inherent defect in the engines. He raised the question, if twin-engine planes are procured, they need to have the ETOPS certificate, and if there is an issue, why procure those planes at all? He said 5 neo planes were procured during the term of Nishantha Wickremesinghe as the chairman and Kapila Chandrasena as the CEO of the airline. Captain Withanage also went on to state former chairman Nishantha Wickremesinghe showed a vested interest when discussions took place over cabin crew matters, and at times he was seen on flights accompanied by certain members of the cabin crew. He stated the lease for several planes were 30 to 40% higher than the market price. The captain noted the annual maintenance cost for all planes is around 17 billion rupees, while the total lease cost is around 22 billion rupees. Naiva's aviation consultants company had in fact located issues over the accounting process followed at Sri Lankan Airlines, and they are even finding new payments. Following the losses incurred by Sri Lankan Airlines, the Treasury had infused 14.2 billion rupees to Sri Lankan Airlines in 2012 and 12.86 billion rupees and 19.2 billion rupees in 2013 and 2014 respectively. Surprisingly, as the infusion also grew, the board at the national carrier had not taken any steps to verify how these losses were made. The introduction of narrow-body aircrafts to operate to Hong Kong and Bangkok had resulted in the airline losing revenue from carrying 20 tons daily cargo as the payload on the A320s were restricted.
Deputy Minister of Law and Order Nalin Bandara says the tabling of the bill to amend the Mutual Assistance in Criminal Matters Act has been postponed. Bandara noted that the bill was to be presented to Parliament tomorrow.
The Mutual Assistance in Criminal Matters Act number 25 of 2002 was adopted to facilitate cooperation between Sri Lanka and other selected jurisdictions in the exchange of suspects and witnesses. The Act provides for the service of documents on such persons, the examination of witnesses, obtaining of evidence, executing requests for search and seizure, temporarily transfer a person in custody to appear as a witness, and the location of the proceeds of crime, among others. However, thus far, the Act has only applied to specific Commonwealth nations. Issuing a media release yesterday, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa claimed the government was laying the groundwork for betrayal by amending the Act to apply in all jurisdictions.
It is correct that individuals must be punished, but you cannot take them anywhere in the world to punish them. He must be brought down first to Sri Lanka. The government has the responsibility of bringing him back, but they are not putting in the same effort to bring him down as they are doing for Udayanga. We have informed Udayanga to come here. He will willingly return. The government couldn't do it, but we asked him to come. So the Prime Minister can do the same thing since it is his friend after all. We are aware today that the major rogues in our country are overseas. Udayanga Veeratunga, the former ambassador to Russia, is a chief suspect in the MiG aircraft deal and he must be brought back. Then there is Jalya Wickramasuriya and Arjuna Mahendran. It is necessary to amend this act in order to resolve the legal issues that crop up in securing their extradition. But former President Mahinda Rajapaksa has become worried and is interpreting this from the wrong angle as a betrayal of the country. He is attempting to build a dialogue to prevent this. Mahendran and all the others must be brought back to the country. If people who are involved in rackets and stole from our country are overseas, we must secure their extradition. This bill will allow for this to happen. It is not being presented this week because of a technical flaw in the draft. Don't be afraid, Mr. Rajapaksa. We will submit it within the next 2 weeks. The government is introducing 2 bills. The Act on the International Convention Against Enforced Disappearances has already been adopted. Then the Office of Missing Persons was established. There were several countries which were not covered by this. For example, one of the countries that has not signed the Convention on Enforced Disappearances is America. We are not bound to hand over our war heroes to America if they want to charge them with war crimes. However, now they are introducing the Mutual Assistance in Criminal Matters Act to cover these countries too. If these people are being sheltered because of inadequacies in the law, then why should anyone be opposed to amending it? All law-abiding people in this country who do not have corrupt minds must support the amendment. I cannot even imagine how any politician who is opposed to this can shamelessly express this opinion in public. We can arrest people like Arjuna Mahendran and Udayanga Veeratunga only if this bill is adopted. If their henchmen and sycophants have not done anything wrong, then why are they afraid? Why are they attempting to palm this off on war heroes? This is a terror of Mahinda Rajapaksa. He is always looking to acquit himself of wrongdoing and to cover up the wrongdoing of the Rajapaksa loyalists. They constantly manufacture demons for this purpose. They are preparing to do it again.
President Maithripala Sirisena says all parties should come together to protect children without any conditions. The President was speaking at the Kilinochchi District Summit of the Daruwan Surakimu National Programme. The Kilinochchi District Summit of the Daruwan Surakimu National Programme was held at the Kilinochchi Central College this morning. The programme aims to protect children from various tragedies.
We saw on the media how children have sometimes been abused and harassed by their own parents. None of these acts can be accepted in a disciplined and good society. Therefore, every one of us should ensure to make our homes the safest place for our children. We send our children to school, where we have doubts about their safety as well. Therefore, it is imperative that we constantly keep a close eye of the harms and troubles our children face in society.
The event also saw the attendance of Minister of Women and Child Affairs Chandrani Bandara, Northern Province Governor Reginald Kure, Deputy Ministers Angajan Ramanathan, Kader Mastan and Northern Province Chief Minister C.V. Vigneswaran, as well as a group of provincial ministers.
The lands acquired by the Triforces are yet to be released. There is no justifiable reason for them to hold on to these lands any longer. Nothing has been revealed about the missing persons. No clear details have been revealed of the LTTE members who surrendered to the army during the final stages of the war. The livelihoods of our fishermen are also affected. The people in the north and east should be allowed to live their lives without any hindrance. You have promised our leader to give a decision on the national issues before the end of this year. We expect this will happen. The political movement which is creating a conflict among the minorities in the country should be immediately stopped.
The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption says that preliminary steps have been taken to introduce sterner punishments for individuals who fail to submit their declarations of assets and liabilities.
Cabinet approval was granted several months ago to amend the existing Declaration of Assets and Liabilities Act after shortcomings in the law were highlighted by legal experts. A special discussion was held at Siebok today on proposals to be included in the amendment of the Act. A proposal was submitted during the discussion to increase the fine for failure to submit an asset declaration to 100,000 rupees from the existing 1,000 rupees or to increase the prison term to 2 years. The Act was last amended in 1988.
The staff members of the members of parliament, then the cabinet ministers, deputy ministers, they have a staff. They are not caught up under the Asset and Declaration Act. And with these amendments, they will be compelled to submit their asset and declaration. In addition to that, there are regulatory bodies. And under these new amendments, all these officials, high-ranking officials, will be required. Not only that, even the senior officers in the central bank, they will be required to give Asset and Liabilities Declaration Act. So likewise, the diplomatic corps, they will be required to give. In addition to that, a suggestion has come from the Commission of Election that along with the nomination papers, every candidate should hand over the asset and declaration. And we have discussed this issue in the morning. A representative, one of the commissioners from the Commission of Election came and discussed, and we are positively considering these aspects. I earlier said, as it stands today, the fine is only 1,000 rupees for failure to give asset declaration. Suggestions have come, it must be increased at least to 100,000 rupees fine, and the failure to pay a fine would attract 2 years rigorous imprisonment. And these are just suggestions at the moment. We are considering various aspects, and these are the key elements of the proposed amendments. Thank you very much.
Has the Samurdhi Fund, which was established to alleviate poverty in the country, achieved its purpose? News First reports.
There are 1,425,661 families receiving the benefits of the Samurdhi program, which commenced as a social security program in the year 1996. This value covers 23% of the total number of family units in the country. 42 billion was allocated for the Samurdhi program through the budget this time around. Speaking at the UNP May Day rally on the 6th May, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said the beneficiaries of the Samurdhi Fund are not receiving the money through the Samurdhi Bank.
There is a Samurdhi Bank, no one looks after it. All the banks are regulated by the central bank, but this particular bank is not. I would like to state that the Samurdhi Bank will come under the central bank.
The All Ceylon Samurdhi Development and Agrarian Research Officers Union responded to the statement made by the Prime Minister regarding the Samurdhi Bank coming under the central bank.
The Prime Minister, who is planning to carry forward the government, even by robbing from the country, lets the cat out of the bag and says he will take this under the central bank. The central bank is a place that was robbed midday. The governor appointed by the Prime Minister was the person who was behind it. If we start this, we will only stop once we send the government home. Do not rob the poor people's fund.
They charge that there is a plan to invest money of the Samurdhi Fund in the Rural Development Bank and to grant loans.
The minister has received instructions to invest this money at various banks. The investments were only done at state banks, but now they have reached a decision to invest this in the RDBs. The government has a plan to provide bigger loans to the RDBs than what they provide from the Samurdhi Bank. The loans are 1 million to 2.5 million rupees. If the Samurdhi beneficiaries receive these loans, we have no objection. They are trying to invest this 200 billion in the regional development banks and are trying to destroy the Samurdhi Fund by providing loans to the henchmen of the United National Party.
On the 11th of May, convening a media briefing, the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank said that the Central Bank does not have any plans to take the Samurdhi Bank under it. The Deputy Governor added that a committee has been appointed, headed by the Secretary to the Ministry of Economic Affairs, to regulate the activities of the Samurdhi Management Committee. There are 27,000 officials in the Samurdhi Fund. On average, the ratio of Samurdhi officers to Samurdhi beneficiary families is 1 to 52. Why have the various Samurdhi programs that are implemented not able to eradicate poverty in the country? Once you are economically stable after benefiting of the Samurdhi program, is there a mechanism to stop receiving the benefits further?
There is a requirement for a program to remove the people from this. When there was a survey carried out to identify the people who are not suitable to receive the benefits and are yet receiving them, we identified over 150,000 people. There was a public outcry at that time saying that the Samurdhi is going to be slashed. This survey was carried out with a lot of money, but at the end, no one was removed. The Director General of the Samurdhi Development Department says there are 150,000 people who are not eligible to receive the benefits of the fund, receiving it nevertheless. How are these people continuing to receive the benefits of the Samurdhi fund? They were made beneficiaries of the fund by the officials and the politicos of this country. Isn't the general public of this country made to suffer after every government used programs such as the Samurdhi fund as political tools?
Engineers on the Umaoya multipurpose development project say the hydropower component of the project should be completed in the near future. Upon completion, the hydropower plant at the Umaoya project will add 120 megawatts to the national grid.
While excavation of the main tunnel of the Umaoya project has been stalled due to a leak, 80% of the work on the underground hydropower plant has been completed.
The water that is carried along the tunnel for 15 kilometers drops 620 meters at this point. This pressure spins the turbines at the bottom. We are currently affixing the steel plates and have already completed about 335 meters.
Preparing the pipeline system to power the generators at the underground power plant is a complex affair.
Oxygen cylinders have been positioned here. In the event of an incident, it will take 15 minutes to extract them.
3 workers descend at a time for the task of affixing the steel plates and are only allowed to spend only a few hours at a time in the tunnel. An Austrian company has already affixed the generators for the underground power plant. The 120 megawatts of electricity generated here is carried to the Randeniya Transmission Centre. Under the project, the water used for hydropower generation is thereafter diverted for agricultural purposes via the Kirindioya. The remaining work on the project is being carried out through the Department of Irrigation. More details on the development activities on the projects tomorrow. The foundation stone was laid this morning for the 781st Samatha Sevana Model Village. The event was presided over by the Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Minister Sajith Premadasa. This Samatha Sevana Model Village is being built in the Veeravilla area in Tissa Maharama. The village named Sihardagama consists of 25 houses. Minister Sajith Premadasa also engaged with the locals and paid attention to their issues.
I will call for a report on each house constructed under the Udagammana initiative. Families that engage in eco-friendly practices including reforestation and crop plantation will be recognized and rewarded. Don't come and complain later saying you worked hard for the party and did various things for this party and that party. The only thing you should be focusing now is how to live a healthy life. You have to always keep in mind that this hand was given to you for free. I can responsibly say you will not be charged a cent for this land. I would like to reiterate that all lands provided under the Udagammana initiative will be given to each landowner free of charge. A fire broke out on an abandoned ship close to the seas of the Miladi harbour in Jaffna this morning. The ship was abandoned close to the Mailiddi harbour in Jaffna in January this year after it got stuck on a sandbar. The Sri Lanka Navy said though the fire was contained last night, it had reignited this morning. The fire is suspected to have originated from the engine room of the ship named Hind M. The ship, which is owned by a private company, was used to transport cargo. The Sri Lanka Navy said the fire has now been contained.
Chairman of the Pavidi organization, Venerable Muruthettuwe Anandathera, expressed these views on the imprisonment of Buddhist monks.
48 monks were imprisoned in the past. In addition to that, at present 16 more monks have been imprisoned without reasonable ground.
The International Cricket Council has said it will begin its inquiry on accusations of Sri Lanka changing the condition of the ball during the second test against the West Indies. Meanwhile, footage has been released to the media of Sri Lankan skipper Dinesh Chandimal shining the ball during the match.
Did not see it, and this is what happened.
Here, placing his hand into his pocket. Some sort of sweet. The use of that substance. Allegedly.
Controversy arose once again during yesterday's play surrounding the condition of the ball. Play was halted for a moment after umpires inspected the ball for taking a sticky nature.
Umpires are keeping a very close look at the ball. The ball has been a focal point.
Thereafter, the umpires inspected the bat of Sri Lankan batsman Roshan Silva. During the inspection, the umpires had urged Roshan Silva to change his bat.
Also looking at the bat, just checking whether they...
Roshan Silva obliged and called for a new bat from the dressing room. Sri Lanka were bundled out for 342 runs in their second innings, giving the hosts a target of 296 runs.
Players don't seem too concerned about it. It could very well be that this bat, you never know. Anyway, let's have a look at the wickets so far.
A short while ago, the West Indies were on 55 runs for the loss of 2 wickets, needing 241 more runs to win. And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Dasni Athauda.
And I'm Shane Silva. Take care and good night.